All right, so I'm working on this on the intake feed of this disaster. These bearings spin freely, but I think they're frozen because the inner race is moving with the bearings, so I think that they all need to be replaced. This is tight and moves just fine. This one's got a little bit of slop to it, but this one has a lot of slop. I can't get to where I can move this one. So the question is, how do you take these off? I assume you have to drive the drift pin out, pop this off, take this free. But is this a bearing or is it just some kind of bushing? I'm at a loss now. Oh, I'm working on the baler again. Fourth day in a row. Finally making some progress. I'll show you in a minute. It's been a thrash. I still don't know how I'm going to get two of the cams off, but I've got one off, and I think I'm about to get the second one off. Turns out it was a little bit simpler than everybody told me, and so following people's advice, and including the dealer, the repair technician, following their advice has got me in a bind on at least two of them. I just thought outside the box, and the one just popped right off. I can't believe it. And I think if that was any indication, we'll see what happens. I think the next one's about to pop off. Why do you have to be such a pig? Oh, damn it. Lost my... No! Getting it off. And to get the other two off, I had to invent my own puller. It worked quite well. Home-built puller for the win. Got it out. I fought that thing for 2 days till I made this thing. It's that consistent, even pressure that ring I built puts around it. It ain't pretty, but it's functional. So the only way I could get the cams off was to find something that fit behind this shoulder. And it turns out that was a piece of pipe that I then split, but then made some nuts and some bolts welded on there so they couldn't spread. And then I welded these other nuts on there, and they attach to that, and then a large bolt that goes right down on the center of the shaft. And a little bit of tension on it, and then driving it with an air hammer or a rotor hammer on hammer mode from behind, and keep applying pressure to the front and pressure on this bolt to the back. They pop right off. Well, I'm back with the new bushings, and they are much tighter than the old bushings. The slop in the old bushings is, I think the one that I'm testing here is minimal. There was a far worse one, one of the ones I destroyed. The new bushings are much tighter. Hard to tell the difference on site. Obviously, putting the cam in shows the difference. Nobody can tell me what that little fitting is there for. There's a hole on the inside and a groove. It's almost like grease should go in there. But again, nobody's given me directions on that. I did have to get some thread seal that goes on this. The old ones had it on, so I'm going to make sure I put it on. I had to come up with a kludge. Hopefully these will work for somehow for the broken shim. It's about twice as thick, so I can use one of the big ones instead of that. I'll have to see. Otherwise, I have to have somebody make the shims, because I didn't order any, but the guy said he was going to order some, and then he turned out he couldn't find them. He scared me because he only produced 2 of the bushings, and I needed all 4. Fortunately, he did have 4 of them. He just misplaced 2 of them somehow in the box that he was supposed to send me, but I told him I'd come pick up. And I got the new bushings and for the roller guides and some new roll pins. And I've installed the first new block and put the cam back on with the new bearing, new guide roller as they call it. And it went on so much easier than anything taking them off. So that was good. And there's also 0 play now in that, so that is fantastic. So these are the new guide bushings, and no one's been yet able to tell me what that hole is for and why it goes all the way through, and if this should get grease of some kind in the future. But anyway, I'm putting them back in, and there's evidence, I don't know whether this was factory direct or not, but there's evidence of blue Loctite on the threads. So that's what I'm doing as I put these back in, putting a drop of all tight on the tip there so that we can make sure these don't back out. These aren't in the easiest of locations to get to. Putting them into the backside, and you can't put the closed end part of the wrench on. You got to use the open end, but it works. That's better. All right, so. Okay, I sprayed the inner race of the cam with white lithium grease to facilitate putting it back on. I am also making sure to grind away with a little Dremel grind tool any burrs that I may have created on the shafts while I was disassembling things. It is not easy to see how this is supposed to line up. So the final two shims for the final cam were overheated and got kind of warped and beaten up. And you can see that one's pretty flat there on the top. This one's got a split in it. I was thinking I could try and weld it and reform it, but instead I found this washer, which is the same internal diameter, a little thicker width-wise, but and almost the same thickness as both these together. So I'm just going to use this. I think it should work just fine. So I'm trying to get this thing back together again. I'm working on the cam track plate that actually centers the shaft on the intake feed plates. Bush bearing here, rides here, the gear turns everything here, and the cams go inside a groove, fairly close tolerance, the little roller guides, and they have to be in a certain place so that the tines as they sweep around are not hitting each other and not binding and have a even. So I think I've got them evenly spaced, except there's one cam that I cannot get, and I've been fighting it. I finally got this plate close enough to be able to put a couple bolts in it, but really it is I'm gonna have to put the gear on. I'm just getting ready to set the gear on, not to actually fix it on, so I can have something to spin the feed over with and see if I can get that last cam in the track and get the track pushed forward into the right place. I'm about a finger width out at the bottom. I'm at the right place at the top. I am fried. Well, it only took a half hour to put the 4 cams on. I couldn't get them positioned correctly to time them to put on the eccentric gearbox, which I'll show you later, the cam thing that it rides in, the track. So I decided to go backwards, and I took off almost all of the stripper bands because I just couldn't get the tine bars to turn, and it turns out there were a lot of bent the tines that I hadn't replaced. What an absolute thrash. I just got the baler fixed, sort of. So I put the cam track on a couple days ago now. It poured rain yesterday, which was fantastic by me. I took a sort of day off, but paid a heavy price for it. Cows got out, stuff happened, skid steer track came off. So there is no rest for the wicked, and no good deed goes unpunished. No mini vacation goes unpunished. Anyway, got the cam track back on, got the sprocket back on, the gear at the end. I think that's all good. But I wasn't able to turn the tine bars, and I kept wondering, what the heck? Why wasn't it rotating? It should be rotating freely. It turns out that a couple of the guards, the shields or whatever you want to call them, strippers, on some balers they're called, they were bent up, and I hadn't caught this before. It was one on the center of a tine, and the tine was rubbing against the inside of the track, causing the whole thing to grind to a halt, metal to be scraped off, and resistance to happen. And that could have been 99% of the issue. Now, I know those parts that I fought hard to replace needed to be replaced. So I just wish I'd done it in the springtime and not right now in the middle of summer when I needed to be out haying. And the other thing I've been fighting is, for some reason, despite having replaced 25 tines, I still have more to replace. I'm seeing another broken one. I thought I'd replaced all the bad ones and left only marginal ones and ones that were just a single tine. The double had broken off. Figured those would work, Well, I've just ordered another 22 tines, and I'm going to probably end up replacing them all, using them all, because I'm pulling off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 already that are just mangled. This one is no good. That was causing things to catch up. This one, again, not good. I've had a couple like this where they were crossed over. That won't go around the outside of the shield that fits in here without catching up on the backside. So I'm going to get UPS is due here in an hour or so. I'm going to keep fighting taking these tines off, and then when they're here I'll replace them, and then I'll have to put all the strippers back on. I'm going to bend the tabs. You can see they're all out of whack. I'm going to try and bend them into some semblance of similarity. I think I've got an angle finder in the carpenter's tool in the barn I use to gauge some of the less bent ones and match the other ones to them. I think part of the problem is they've been pushed up from stuff hitting the bottom of the guards, and they just get shoved up and bent. That piece really needs to be replaced. But I don't know. That is probably not a big job. I have to take all the strippers off, and I think it unbolts from the backside. That is definitely a winter job, or maybe I should have done it already. I mean, if I had done any of this to start with but I didn't know. I did not know that it was going to be this much of a thrash. But anyway, I think I'm done. I think replacing a few tines, put the strippers back on. I still got to put the chain back on and tension it. And I think we're good to go. Let's hope so.